Good morning, everybody. Jeremy Weiss here with the Helpers Group. And this week, I am joined by my friend, Kris Webb. And Kris is a local mortgage lender with SWBC Mortgage. And today, we're here to talk about some questions that maybe somebody looking to buy a home would have in today's current real estate market. So, Kris, why don't you take a minute and introduce everybody to who you are and how long you've been doing this?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me, Jeremy. My name is Kris Webb. I've been a full-time loan officer for about 25 years, and I'm with SWBC Mortgage here in Columbia, Maryland.
Kris, I know we're going to have a lot of buyers look at this video, and a lot of
Yep.
them are going to have the same question. What is this real estate market going to look like in 2026? Now, I realize that neither you or I have a crystal ball because if we did, Lord knows we wouldn't be doing this, right? Uh, but would you mind sharing for us what the mortgage profession is believing that the market is going to be like in 2026?
Sure. Two things, well, three things really. From an inventory perspective, we're being told from the lending side, inventories will remain relatively similar to where they were in 2025. Um, Prices should be relatively the same as what we're hearing. Maybe some slight appreciation, and definitely a lean towards more affordability for the buyers. Um, from the interest rate perspective, that's what everyone wants to know about. Interest rates, according to Fannie Mae, the Mortgage Bankers Association, all these entities that put out this information, interest rates through 2026 are projected to be in the low six range. 6.375 to 6%, right around that range is where we all expect interest rates to end up through all of 2026.
And just for some context here, Kris, would you mind sharing with the buyers what rates look like now?
Sure. Rates right now are relatively the same. Rates right now are 6.5 to 6%, depending on a few different variables. So there's not much of a difference in rates uh, coming in 2026 versus how we ended 2025.
Thank you. So I think that's a really important point that that really the anticipation is rates next year are not going to change drastically, right? They're
Yeah.
going to maybe a minor change downward, but overall, really and truly, it's going to stay kind of where it is right now for
Yeah.
the most part. That's kind of the expectation.
That is the expectation through all 2026. Yeah.
So, Kris, based on what you just told us and what your outlook is for the market for 2026,
Yep.
if somebody was thinking about buying a home sometime in the next 6 to 12 months, what would you say are the critical things or the things that they should be doing now to set themselves up for success going into the 2026 market?
The number one the number one topic I would recommend to anybody is to talk to their lender right now. You have to get prepared to move into homeownership. We want the lend. I want to look at credit, assets, income. If we have to make any of those changes, we want plenty of time to make those changes so the clients are well prepared. So when they do enter the market, they are rip roaring, ready to go, ready to write offers, and we can close very quickly.
So, Kris, what I hear you saying is really talking to your lender sooner rather than later is the most important piece that a buyer could do to get themselves ready to purchase a home in 2026.
Mhm.
And what we hear on the real estate side quite often is this is the piece that most buyers tend to be very reluctant because when they go to talk to somebody about finances, number one, people don't like to talk about money. And now they're going to be giving their finances over to somebody who they really don't know. And they're going to criticize their bank statements and look at how many times they go to Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. And, people really aren't in the mood to hear that. Can you share with everybody why that piece is so critical and what you look at when you're looking at their financials? Like, do you care how many times they go to Starbucks?
That's a great question. The answer is yes, mainly because we want all our clients to understand that they can really afford these homes. part of there's a lot of misinformation out there of affordability. Buyers tend to think that they might not be able to afford this particular home. And one of the reasons we look at spending habits on bank statements is to open up the discussion of you are able to afford this. We can see where you're spending money on your current lifestyle. If you make some simple tax changes, or if you introduce real estate into your life and take advantage of the tax ramifications that come with it, we can change a few things to make that property affordable for them and their family. So from looking at spending habits on their bank statements, it's we help the client really understand that they can incorporate a mortgage into their lifestyle. It basically the same way they are now. They don't have to cut back on necessarily the Starbucks or Chick-fil-A runs, but maybe some minor, simple tax changes to move the real estate in and make the payment much more affordable.
Yeah, and I think that's a really valuable thing for a lot of people is that knowing that they can make some very minor changes and
Yes,
a home is much closer than they ever thought possible. So,
absolutely.
and especially couple that with, all the different grant programs that you're aware of. There's so much money that's out there for potential buyers that, you just need to have an awareness of. So,
Absolutely. Yep. It's having an awareness and educating clients on the mortgage market is something that, good lenders are going to do. You asked me about my process earlier. I'm going to spend a lot of time with the client initially. I prefer to meet them in person if they can't come to my office. I like doing Zoom calls so I can meet them and we can really get a feel for what's important to them and their family. And that conversation is going to open up all sorts of um, opportunities and dialogues that neither one of us even really knew existed. And it just creates for a bonding experience. And clients leave that consultation feeling good about themselves, knowing that they can afford this.
yeah, Chris, that's a really great point because as a realtor, for me, that's also the first step that I like to have with a client is I really like to sit down and just have a strategy session with a new buyer because the way I liken it to a target, right? If we don't know where the target is, how are
Mhm,
we supposed to hit it? When I can sit down with a buyer and figure out, okay, this is what you're looking for. This is the type of home you're looking for. This is where you're trying to live. This is the timeline that you're trying to move in,
mhm,
right? Then it gives us a much better defined target. And what we find in the real estate side is that does two things. Number one, it helps us take that home search and take a lot of it off of your plate because now we can be on the lookout for homes that meet the criteria that you're looking for.
mhm.
And when we find that home, we can help you strategize to get into it. Okay. Coupled with what you guys do on the mortgage side, right? You help us figure out what the affordability piece looks like, what they can spend up to.
Mhm.
That helps us just compile a fantastic strategy so that when we find the property that they like, we can go actively attack it.
That's exactly
So,
right.
yeah.
Coming at this as a partnership, the lender and realtor partnership is absolutely critical right now for these clients because, as you know, we're always communicating with each other. And
Mhm.
the more we can communicate between you and I, the realtor and lender, and the customer, it's just going to really create an awesome experience for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Chris, thank you so much for those great tips. A lot of really great info here.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, we pride ourselves just like you do on being very transparent with our clients and leading with education, right? Making sure that people are educated about the process and that they know what's going on as we move through the process of purchasing or selling a home. So, what I'd like to ask you today for our fans out there, there's a lot of myths that are out there in the real estate and the lending industry.
Mhm.
Um, Give us a myth. I know you have a bugaboo there that you want to be able to debunk for everybody. So tell us that myth that you want to debunk for our viewers out there.
Absolutely. The biggest myth we hear is that clients need a 20% down payment to buy a home.
Oh,
People think that they really need a large down payment, and that is the number one myth I keep hearing. And as you and I both know, you do not need a lot of money. There are so many down payment assistance programs. Fannie Mae only has a minimum of a 3% down payment on their first time home buyer program. There's all sorts of different ways to get into a home with very little money. And what it really comes down to is the conversation between the realtor, the client, and me. And then as a team, we develop a strategy. And once that home is found, we hone in on that property, develop the strategy, and make it win-win for the buyer.
and I think, Kris, that is such a valuable myth to debunk.
Yeah.
Um, because people, you're right, and and you can attest to this next statement. Uh, Putting down 20%
Hmm.
doesn't get you a better interest rate.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, your rate may be worse if you put down 20% than if you would only put down 3 or 5 or 10%.
That's right. And people don't understand that there's a reason behind that, but those little niches are misunderstood in amongst the buyer market, and that's one of the reasons why I love this job, is to educate buyers on how this really works.
Because it's a very interesting world, and there's so many moving parts in it that
So,
you
yeah,
got to have an expert on your hands, and you have to have an expert to help you guide you through this process. So,
absolutely.
well, guys, thank you so much for joining us and for watching this week, and a special thanks to you, Kris, for jumping on with us from SWBC Mortgage.
Sure.
It's a nice snowy Friday here in Maryland. So if you'd like to talk more with Kris, or you want to set up a consultation with either of us, do me a favor. Check the comment section down below. Both of our information is there. Feel free to give either one of us a call, and we're happy to set up a pressure-free consult with you so that you can be educated about the home buying market right here in Maryland. And as always, if you felt that this video was helpful, then do us a favor. Please give the video a like, and feel free to share this video with anybody who you know who may be looking to buy a home here in Central Maryland. And don't forget, if you like the content here, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel for more Central Maryland real estate and lifestyle insights. Thanks so much for your time. I'm Jeremey Weiss with the Helpers Group. And as always, how can we help?